onto Tenno and Kano, which, in our opinion, on the training server, are beautifully balanced right now. Well done, devs. These two, the rivalry between them is phenomenal. I'm really impressed. It feels like you're actually playing a sort of like combat-based game with these dinosaurs. The Tenno is very reminiscent of Street Fighter characters. It's very nice. The Kano, that's the major change, is the charge. We've been utilizing the charge way more in our fights to surprising degree. The charge currently does a flat 30% damage towards an adult Tenno, which means it takes 4 hits to kill a Tenno, which is, that's pretty good. If we're going to think about it, and that's with 20% overkill damage, which we'll be getting to in a minute. In order to do a charge, you need to be going at full speed, which takes about 2 seconds, and the distance of this is about 30 meters or so. Of course, before we measured this at 3 seconds, but we're fairly sure that's just due to delays in timing. I've measured it out as 2. If you go into the plains, the distance between a lot of the trees is about the same amount of time as it takes for the Kano to reach full speed. So what does this change for the strategy of Kano versus Tenno? Well, simple. It makes Tenno hunting way safer, and actually works with the Kano's current stamina drain beautifully. The reason being is that at any time, there is no reason for you to chase a Tenno to get close up to it. You want to chase the Tenno so that you are at least 20 to 30 meters away from it, which means at any time you can run in and charge and get that 30% damage. Now, of course, you may be then saying to yourself, okay, well, you run in for a charge, what's to stop the Tenno from turning around and tail slamming you? Well, that's where the beauty of the Kano's ult bite comes in. Similar to how the Utah's ult bite is a mechanic used to dodge, which is strange, the Kano's ult bite works the same way ult turn worked in Legacy. It stops the Kano dead in its tracks. Yeah, you ult bite, you stop instantly, no matter how much momentum you have. Which means that, and furthermore, the fact that you can do it directional, left, right, forwards, backwards, means that you can actually like snipe things very easily. You're chasing a Utah and it turns around you. You can then just ult bite in a direction and carry on the chase. Same thing with Tenno. You're running towards a Tenno, the Tenno turns to face you, you ult bite behind you or to the side of you, or even in front of you. You stop dead in your tracks. If the Tenno tail slams, you can then go in for a headshot. It's an incredibly safe strategy and very rewarding. It feels like you're actually playing a Kano right now. You're running in, you're chasing, you're head slamming things into the ground. This is all incredibly fun. But what are the actual calcs about this? Well, the actual calcs, if I get my paper onto it, is this. When a Kano hits a Tenno down to the ground, the recovery time for the Tenno is about 3 seconds. If you do a head slam and immediately bite, 2 bites will leave the Tenno with about 40% of his health remaining with a headshot. Furthermore, it takes about 10% stamina to run in from this 30-meter range and then get into a charge, which is very good. Which means effectively you can get 10 charges with 1 Kano every single time. Speaking of the Kano and the Tenno in fights, how does it logistically break down with a group? Well, simple. One main point is the overkill damage of the Kano, which is that if each head charge does 30% of its health, it's going to do 120% of its health in order to kill the Tenno. That means that there is a 20% of the Tenno's health that you can stall for, which roughly takes about 11 minutes 30 to heal 30% of the Tenno's health, which means it takes 7 minutes 33 to heal 20% of its health. The Kano, however, takes 9 minutes to heal 30% of its health, which is about the amount of damage that a tail slam does. Just about. So, what we can do is, effectively, you could actually trade with the Tenno, with the tail slam versus thing, but I wouldn't recommend it, because you're going to get stunned. So don't do that. Instead, stick to this ult bite strategy. Who cares about this? So how does this change hunting of Tennos with Kanos? And then we'll talk about how Tennos can counterbalance this, which is very easy. Don't worry about it. Kano isn't a wrecking ball yet. What this means is that what a lot of Kano players have been doing, especially that we've seen while playing Tenno, is that they run straight into the Tenno, get a bite, run away. Wrong. Pathetic. Die. What you should be doing is that you keep this distance away from it. This gives you 2 options. You can run in and charge, or you can ult bite to stop the charge and then get a bite. It's way safer. It's way more precise. Kano is now a bit of a speed demon. But what happens if the Tenno chooses to run? instead of chasing after, so say for example, like the Tenno's not confident, it sees, you know, 2 Carnos on the horizon and it runs, it books it. What the Carno normally does is that it runs and catches up with the Tenno and then bites. Wrong. If you keep this 30-meter distance, when the Tenno runs out of stamina, you will have between 40 and 20% of your stamina left, depending on how you take it. We did this on the plains, so one Carno went up and down the hills, and the other Carno kept on the flat part. You can guess which one had the most amount of stamina. This means that when you actually catch up with the Tenno, you will have between 2 or 4 charges in you before the Tenno has the time to recover its stamina, which is incredibly powerful. That's 60% of the Tenno's health at 20% stamina, and that's a kill at 40%. Yeah, if Tennos choose to run, you can also hit multiple Tennos with one head charge, which means you can do so much damage. The damage potential of the Carno right now is insane. With a coordinated group, the Carno now acts like a larger Utah. Yeah, you circle around your opponent, you wait for the opportunity to go in, and then you go in. You have to be very, very patient to get the best results out of this. So how does this fare in the Tenno's favour? Well, simple. Tail Slam is still ridiculously powerful. We've been able to chip 50% of the Carno's health with the Tail Slam stun is amazing. But the issue is that right now the charge is able to cancel animations, which means if you are tail slamming one Carno and another Carno hits you, it cancels the animation. And how far? Well, simple. What we figured out with this is that the actual hitbox for the Tenno registers the hits as it passes through the Carno, but also when it hits the ground. This means that if the Carno interrupts or collides with the Tenno's tail before it hits the ground, it cancels the entire damage. Unfortunately, I don't have the clip where this is the case. I don't know why, but I have got the clips where we trade. The distance that you need to start your tail slam with Tenno is incredibly far. It is not, something that you think of straight away, because you're used to tail slamming something that's very, very close to you. You need to tail slam. You need to tail slam so that the tip of your tail hits the Carno's head, which means you're tail slamming the Carno when it's like a Carno's distance away from you. When you add in things like desync and latency, this is incredibly difficult. But it's not worth the Carno's favour. Why? Because that's 50% of your health. If you have a pack of Tennos, you're dead, which has happened to me before. We charged one Tenno, it fell to the ground. I went in to charge it again, because you can chain charges, of course. And then another Tenno came out of the tree, tail slammed me. Second one got back up, tail slammed me, because it is a 3 seconds delay. Speaking of 3 seconds, how much time does it take for the Carno to reach full sprint? About 2 to 3 seconds, which is why you can then chain this. It's incredibly powerful. All in all, how would I change this? I would make it so that the Carno's charge doesn't cancel the Tenno's tail slam, right? Because if you look at my videos, in the videos where I tail slam and a Carno hits me, the Carno took no damage during that. It took none. This is incredibly bad because it means that you're trading for nothing, and it's in the Carno's favour. Even though I wouldn't personally take the risk as a Carno, especially against a group. We did actually have some group footage, but that's been lost. Some of my recordings were only saved as voice files, which is incredibly annoying. I'm not sure why. It must be an issue with the recording. But with 2 Tennos, it's still incredibly hard against 4 Carnos. It needs to be even for it to be a shot. 4 Carnos versus 3 Tennos does pose a bit of an issue, because the one that falls down, there's 2 to guard it. But once you kill that first Tenno, it becomes incredibly easy. Right now, I'd say that it is decently balanced. If you make it so that the Carno can't interrupt the Tenno's tail slam, you have a really, really nice 1v1, and you have a really, really nice group versus group. Fantastic. I have to admit, the Tenno and the Carno, the devs have done a wonderful job on that. I have very little complaints. Yeah, it's all really good. So strategies for Carno hunting, I hope to see more players implementing this strategy. Keep your distance. Learn the amount of time it takes for you to reach full sprint, and learn what that distance looks like. And you'll be way more rewarded. If you're incredibly good, and we've done this a few times now, you can get the distance so that the second before you reach the Tenno, you reach full charge. You're wasting even less stamina, which means that the second that you hit the Tenno, you hit right click and you hit immediately. And the amount of stamina loss you get is minuscule. We're talking like less than 10%. It's really good, it's really strong. I have no complaints. Now we are on to the last part of this video. but we're going to be looking at Stego versus Dino, the last pair in the game. How does this fare? Well, simple. To do this test, we experimented with a load of different Stegos, all of which were chunky, by the way. We experimented with stupid Stego versus a stupid Dino, a cocky Stego versus a cocky Dino, stupid Stego versus cocky Dino, whatever. And then we did a group test with 3 Stegos versus 2 Dinos, which is where we think it lies about. The 3 Stegos kill all 2 Dinos, in case you want spoilers for that clip. It's incredibly hard to do. I forget how much the max pack of Stegos is. I'm fairly sure it's 2. I'm feeling like it's 3 or 4. I'm not sure though. Which is why I would change the max Stego pack to be 2, because it is very, very hard, given the fact that Dino is the only thing that can kill a Stego right now. It's incredibly bad. So what happens with a... Oh, actually, better question. Let's go back to basics. Because there was a video that came out on YouTube a while ago of how to, destroy Stegos with a Dino. And the video is, if you excuse my French, utter crap. It's shite. I still throw up thinking about it. What you got told was this. You were told that lunge is utterly useless. Lies. You were told that alt bite spam is the way to go. Lies. But you may be thinking, but Turkish Delight, you absolute gelatine piece of shit. Alt bite does more damage than the bite. Kind of, but not really. Any more? Definitely not. Both of them do 500 newtons of bite force. So how does it actually work? Simple. It's about attack animation times. It's something we need to stress a lot, especially with Stego versus Utah, as I said before. The time it takes for an animation to play is way worse, which is actually something I should probably add to the last video. So, I guess. If a Dino bites into an alt bite, or alt bites into a bite, this is faster. Alt bite into bite is faster. You get 2 times the amount of damage. Your DPS doubles doing this, because there's no cooldown after the bite, which means that the Stego dies. A Dino who isn't doing this against a dumb Stego, it will die. The Stego will be left with 50% of his health remaining, so we can actually fight 2 of them. With the lunge, now you'll be thinking, why is the lunge important? Because you can't, grab a Stego. Simple. When you hit a Stego with a lunge, the Stego is stunned for 3 seconds. If you can do an alt bite into a bite, pretty much every second and a bit, that means that you can do about 3,000 damage in the first 5 seconds of the fight with a Stego. With the lunge, you guarantee the first 2,000 damage. Against a dinosaur that has 6,000 health, that is incredibly strong. That is stupidly strong. Especially if you hit the Stego's head. That is amazing. So how do Stegos deal with Dinos? Well, simple. You put your tail in the water when you drink, and then you drink. Right? So you're in the water. What does the Dino do? The Dino aims for your head. When you lunge at the Dino, go sideways, aim for the Stego's head, alt bite bites, alt bite bites, alt bite bites. When you're doing this, turn your camera slightly. So you're going left, right, left, right, left, right. You may be missing out on headshots, but it will make sure that you're always hitting your alt bite against the Stego's head, because you move forward while doing so. You don't want to be moving forward. You're going to be moving sideways, so you're still stuck on the Stego's hitbox. With the Stego, how is it looking? What's the general strategy you do during an actual fight? Well, usually what you do is that you do the side swipes. There's a video of me playing Stego and Dino doing this, because Chonky found this out very, very quickly. I'm very proud of him. Which is that there is a slight delay on the Stego side swipes when the Dino is hitting it. The Stego can't swing straight away when it's being bit by the Dino. It means that the Dino actually buys itself time. And if you then factor in the fact that it's faster to alt bite into a bite, the Stego's opportunities to swings decreases by about maybe 40%. You're doing way less damage with this against these side swipes. You need to go for full swipes, looking forward and right clicking. So what we're left with is the second fight where the tail's in the water. The Stego is about 20% of his health left when it kills the Dino. But after you start doing this strategy, the Dino kills the Stego every single time. In fact, it actually reverses. The Dino's left with 20% of his health remaining after killing a Stego. Which is why, with a full pack of Stegos versus 2 Dinos, the Dinos are going to die. If a Dino almost dies fighting a Stego, then a full pack won't be able to do it. That is one balance change I would have with Stego and Dino. Make it so that Stego packs are way smaller. Make it so that it's 2. 2 Stegos versus 2 Dinos becomes an equalish fight. Yeah? because if one Dino messes up its bites, then the Stego can then kill it. This will result in probably one Dino and one Stego dying every single fight, which is a balanced fight. If we're assuming that Stegosaurus is on the same pinnacle of strength as an apex herbivore, given the fact that Trike's weight used to be about 8.4 tons, I'm fairly sure. This would mean that the Stego is just off the cusp of like the strongest herbivores that we're probably going to have in the game. The Dino being about 6 tons is almost the same weight as the T-Rex, which in Legacy was 6.4 tons. So Dino is already at the point of weight and size as an apex predator is going to be. Which means if the devs are going to make it so that apex herbivores have a leg up on damage compared to apex carnivores, then we're going to have to somehow make a work around that. While I do like the fact that herbivores are strong right now, because in my opinion they should be strong, there should be more incentive to play herbivore, we are now ending up in a situation where we don't have diet systems and we don't have proper mix packing rules, where you can have like 6 Stegos in one group with like 10 Tennos, and there's nothing you can do about it. The server's in a deadlock. If you make it so that the hunger rate of a herd decreases or increases, then we could do something about it. One thing I've definitely been thinking about is herd mentalities and how do you say herd behaviors. That'd be better. Which is that a larger herd will require more bushes to sustain it, unless they graze, which I think should be taken out of the game immediately. If we're being realistic, which even though I hate that argument, eating grass not going to help for the herbivore. They can't eat it. They can't digest it. This also then puts more reliance on bushes. It also means that carnivores have an opportunity to snag kills, because when is the best time to fight a herd? When they're out in the open eating a bush, or when they're traveling to and from bushes? That's the best time to do it, when they're traveling as a herd. You have groups of carnivores laying in wait in the forests, in the plains. All of a sudden, the herd's going to reach some adversity. There's more panic. The herd's starting to lose hunger or thirst. That's what it should be good. Balance the herds and the herd sizes around apex carnivore pack limits, if you've already gotten to think about that, and food consumption. You want the herds at max level to reach the point where they need to move from area to area with somewhat decent frequency. That's what you want, because that then allows them to have more engaging combat, because they're already strong, they can fight, and they can learn how to fight. Besides that, Stego and Dino are in a decent place. That is about all, unfortunately. I apologise for any stuttering with my thing. I do have a stutter, and I don't want to retake this video a lot of time, because we just got told to do the bug report, and I'd rather get this done in an afternoon so I can continue living my life. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have more questions about combat, please visit our Discord, The Raptors. There will be a link in the description of this video, and I am very, very much hoping so that the devs, QA testers, and whoever else is working on the Isle comes into contact with us, and we can discuss way more things. So we've discovered lots of things. The body dragging glitch that was in update 3 towards the end, we were a part of finding that. We were part of finding out that Utahs could pounce onto trees to mitigate fall damage, and we've worked out a few other glitches and things along the time that the QA testers didn't even know about. So I'm hoping that in the future we can all continue to work together and actually make this game something that is enjoyable for all sides to play. Thank you.